Welcome to the live stream. Take this time to connect with our amazing community, ask questions, share your stories, join in on the conversation. We're here to support each other on this journey. Use super chats to highlight important questions or comments. We're so glad you're here and can't wait to hear from you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is episode number 5 of the Keto Crusade. You have me, Dustin, Keto Simple, and the wonderful people that I have here before you. We have Victor from Southern Keto and Chris from Chris Cook in Nashville. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. How are you doing this evening?
Man, I am great. How are y'all doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm super
I'm
excited
hanging
for
in
this.
there, fit as a fiddle, and happy to be here, guys.
That's awesome. So tonight we are talking about something very important and I think does go under the radar, and that's success. So often we're talking about what our failures are. We're talking about what doesn't work. But tonight we're talking about winning the battle or winning the war. Then how do you feel about that, gentlemen?
Well, I would say for me, there's been a lot of successes. There's a lot of people that email. There's a lot of people that leave comments and everything like that. I would say success in general, it's measured the most, I think, by how you just kind of keep going whenever you feel like you can't keep going anymore. I've doubted myself along the way. Nobody's perfect, but with the combination of your mindset, which I talk about a lot, the community that we have, the great community. I love, that we have such a great community right now. There's a lot of good people here that to support us and to support each other. And that's a huge key. So, success to me, that's kind of what it's all about. Just don't stop. If you, like I say a lot, if you mess up, realize you messed up, don't beat yourself up over it, and just keep on pushing. And that to me is success. We're all going to fall off track. Everybody does, myself included. I've talked about before, like, over the holidays, I knew I was going to gain weight. Making cookies all the time, things were going to happen, but, and creating recipes and stuff, it's just, that's kind of a part of it. If I bring you some cookies, then I'm eating 10 times the amount of cookies you are. So, just to test it out and make sure everything's right. But, you get right back on track. So, I'm as guilty of it as anybody else, but, that is success to me is, realizing what's going on, sticking with what it is as soon as you get done with what you were doing that you may have messed up on. And, hey, y'all, make sure y'all leave down in the chat too what success means to you and some successes that you've achieved. If you got any, short stories, I know we'll have a lot of comments, but, if you've got anything that overall you feel like you've been really, really successful in, like myself, I've lost about, I say 75, probably more like 85 pounds, fixed a ton of health conditions. That's kind of my success story. I want to share that, and, as well as some of my background and other things. So that's what success means to me. We are succeeding. We are, getting this message out to a lot of people. And, that to me is awesome. That's what it's all about. If we don't share this message, you're not going to hear it in the mainstream. It's a grassroots movement that we have to be a part of. We have to push it out there. And, thanks to our awesome community for sharing that with everybody and helping us push the message out. That's succeeding. That's winning.
I totally agree with Victor. I think there's a lot of different things that our successes and our wins are going to look like for each of us individually, and I think it's a great idea. You guys tell us in the chat, like, what are your victories, what are your successes, what are your wins, what are the things that are keeping you going. But I think that there's a lot of different maybe details we can get into of what success might actually look like, or what each of us is trying to achieve. But I think on a broader scale, what I really see as being something very successful that I'm really excited about, we are seeing new people in our live streams, in our comment sections. I am seeing on a daily basis just about at least a comment or someone popping up in a live stream or something every single day. I'm brand new to keto. I'm brand new to carnivore. I just found your channel. This is the first recipe I've watched. This is the first live I've been to. Like, this is happening regularly. And I think that it's easy for us maybe to get roped into the drama of the media of, as Dr. Barry would say, keto butt crack is going to kill you, or, these various kinds of things. And we feel like, we're fighting this like losing battle, and we see the next thing that big food or big pharma is releasing, and there's all that stuff out there. And of course we are battling against these things, trying to get good information out there to help people. But I think we are seeing a real massive growth, and we are seeing a lot of new people who are starting to come to keto and carnivore and low carb ways of living, and they're starting to reach out and they're trying to change their lives. In fact, Ash and I were just at the bookstore yesterday. I was looking at cookbooks and researching for some things for my own cookbook I'm going to be starting to write. I'll tell you guys more about that, but I'm going to be working on that, and we were researching it. And so we were in the cookbook section, and there's like the regular cookbooks, and then around the side is the health related cookbooks, right? And so it's all the keto books and all the paleo books and all that stuff are there. And a couple walked up, and they saw that we were looking for anything carnivore related. We were looking at keto stuff, but we were looking specifically to see if there were any carnivore books. And they were like, oh, we're looking for carnivore books too. And so we started talking to them, and we ended up standing there and talking to them for a little while, and they did carnivore for the first time in January. And they are both super excited about it, and they were traveling from up north, headed down to Florida, swung into a bookstore, and just happened to run into me standing there by the carnivore book section. Imagine that happening. And so we got to talking, and I told them about like what it is we do. And they had never heard of my channel. They'd never seen any of it. They were just randomly in this bookstore looking for carnivore cookbooks, for ideas, because they feel so good on this lifestyle, they're going to stick with it. And so they're looking for some ideas for carnivore recipes or ways they can incorporate into their life. And like what a weird and cool set of circumstances to randomly run into people in a bookstore looking for carnivore recipes when, hello, that's what I do. So like this kind of stuff is happening more and more. We're seeing more people talking about carnivore in our everyday lives. We're seeing more people pop into the channel. We are hearing about this more and more through all of these outer media outlets, and it's starting to work its way into the larger media outlets. It is a real growth, and I think that, when it comes to success on an individual level, we all have our things we care about, but on a broad scale, I think we are winning this battle little bit by little bit, and we have a very large battle to fight, but I think piece by piece, we are gaining ground because more and more healthy people are becoming outspoken about how they got that way. And it's like 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, I wasn't who I am now. How did I get here? I went keto. I went carnivore. I stopped listening to this. I stopped listening to that. I'm off these medications. I'm doing this. I have this great thing going on, whatever their story is. And more people are starting to catch on. And as Victor said, this is a grassroots movement. This is a word of mouth, person to person thing. I loved listening when Ash and I were at Keto Palooza. And I'm sure Dustin is going to remember exactly what I'm talking about here because he was there too. At Keto Palooza, Dr. Barry got on stage and was talking about telling a friend, telling a neighbor, telling, a family member, whatever, teaching people what keto and carnivore is. And he was explaining how in big food, big pharma, big government, medical system, all of that stuff, the way it works, even if you get them on board, by the time it all disseminates down through everything, he's like, you're not going to see any of this at your family doctor level for probably the next 10 years. Even if it's all believable and documented and approved and whatever in the minds of all of the people in charge, it takes it that long to work its way through the system. And so he was like, don't wait 10 years for your doctor to catch on. You have so many people in your life that need your help now. They don't have 10 years to wait for it to come through the system. You need to go to the people that are next door, the people that are in your life, the people that you have access to, and don't preach at them, don't yell at them, don't ridicule them, don't do any of that, but encourage them, give them that example, show them what you can do with your health, with keto and carnivore, and just teach people to change their own lives, and then encourage them to go teach somebody else. And by doing that, we gain more and more and more people on this keto crusade that we are on, which is why we do what we do. And I think because of the massive growth we are seeing and the people that are showing up in live streams and chats and how this is getting everywhere, and just the massive growth of the new people who are saying this is the first time I've ever done it, I believe little by little we are winning the war.
And I agree with that. And I want to touch on a little bit of that that Chris was saying. Going out and spreading the word the best you can, but you have to be subtle about it. You have to be methodical. You have to be open, and you can't be pushy, and you can't be a jerk about it. You can't be fanatical or sound crazy. And yesterday I went out to lunch with some coworkers that I hadn't seen in a long time for a company that I worked for up until 2019. I worked with them for about 10 years. And the funny thing is the first person that I walked up to was a coworker that's been very close to me for a very long time. And the first thing out of her mouth was, "I've been doing carnivore." And I was like, "Do I have a channel for you?" And you know whose channel I gave to her, right? Because I texted him right there. I was like, I've been shouting you out, buddy. And so I gave her your channel. I told her about our meetup in May. Um, Tried not to talk too much about it in the beginning because there was a lot of us sitting there talking, and I didn't want to, obviously dictate the conversation. But as things kind of wound down, she was asking me questions. She had been primarily focusing on Facebook groups, and we know how toxic those can be because as and Victor sent me a text last night about some stuff that he's been seeing, and I'm like, that kind of wraps itself back around to another thing that Chris was saying is we have to be skeptical when we're looking at new information, just like we always have been. Just like the first time I heard about Atkins in the early 2000s, just like when I heard about keto, any kind of new lifestyle switch or change, any major thing you take on in your life, you've got to be skeptical about it. You have to ask questions because I think just blindly jumping into things isn't always the best practice. And I think the same thing once you're in this lifestyle, whether you're carnivore, whether you're keto, paleo, whatever end of the spectrum of the proper human diet you're on, you have to be mindful that there's going to be bad actors coming in because we are winning the war. We are winning battles, but we're going to lose specific things. We're going to have people coming in and trying to throw wrenches into the works because we are being successful. We are helping people. As news articles come out promoting positive things with this lifestyle and the spectrum of the proper human diet, you can bet there's probably going to be 2, 3, 4, 10 articles coming out that say all kinds of crazy things. Well, you should leave the butter and go back to seed oils, or I don't even want to talk about like all the weird things that come up because I think they're just complete distractions. And I think that does show that we are winning, we are being successful, we are living and showing, we are living proof that this spectrum of the proper human diet is beneficial to a large number of people. And I think we have to keep that in mind, because when we are looking at these articles, when we are looking at these posts, and we are looking at these new uh, influencers that pop up, I mean, there's going to be AI influencers. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell if somebody is real or not. And we have to understand that they're going to come up with these weird things. Like I asked Chris last week in his live, what do you think about the carnivores promoting you don't need salt? And I think it's funny. And are there people out there who probably don't really need to salt their food? I'm sure there are. Just like there are people who probably need 3, 4, 5 things of electrolytes a day. It's a spectrum. There's going to be people who really don't feel they need to salt their food and they feel fine. They don't have cramps. That's part of their journey. They have to figure that out. We've all been working diligently over the course of many years, months, weeks, years for us to find out what helps us and what helps us be successful in this journey. And I think we just can't lose sight of that. We can't we can't fall victim to the clickbait. We can't fall victim to the weirdness that's out there, because we're going to see it, and we can't just believe everything on a surface level. We have to be detectives in a way. We have to dig a little deeper. So I think with that, I think that we are unstoppable and we are winning this battle.
And to Chris's point, I don't know what Dr. Berry said. I didn't hear that, but when he's talking about doctors taking 10 years or so, I mean, you've got doctors that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, have never heard of this thing, and they're training the new doctors, and they're telling them what prescriptions to give, and the medical schools are teaching that. And so, for for the diet to infiltrate that deep, I mean, it is going to take a long time. Um, and when I started my channel at first, it wasn't Southern Keto. I don't know if y'all know or not, but I've tried about every diet in the world, and I ended up coming back to low carb and keto at the end of it. But I started this channel, and it was originally called Your Best Body Blueprint. So if you've ever seen any of my old stuff, that's from the very beginning of the channel, my whole reason for starting the channel was I wanted to start doing meal plans, just like I had done way back, and help people. So I wanted to kind of put this channel out there and promote it locally, to help my local community, to eat better. I mean, diabetes down here is just, this has got to be one of the worst parts of the country. I mean, from South Carolina to Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. I mean, this is diabetes central here. And so I really started it to get local people in, and I was promoting it on my personal Facebook and things like that. And it was going to be more of a wellness thing. Well, the wellness is great, and I'm branching out more into some other things now like that. But it all starts with what you eat. And I mean, so I've done the old bodybuilder's diet, which is what I haven't gone back to that. I've added in some other things, but that's what I started with. South Beach, vegan, vegetarian, let's see, Maker's Diet, Sonoma Diet. I mean, we've tried just about everything over the years. I'm a guinea pig, so I love trying new things just to see how it'll do. I did well on vegan for probably 3-4 months until I started feeling really bad. And I think a lot of people come to keto from vegan, or most come from standard American diet. I mean, that was the majority of my life was standard American diet and standard Southern diet, which is even worse. So the way we eat down here is unbelievable. If y'all are not from the South, you would not believe what some people eat down here. But I started the channel, and it kept, I'd have a video that got 2 views. I'd have a video that got 3 views, 0 views, probably some that had negative views. And, then eventually, the one comment would come in like, hey, I tried this recipe and it's really helping me because I'm starting on this. And I'm like, okay, well, the basis of what I'm trying to do is a low carb diet. So I'm going to start this Southern Keto thing. I'm going to do mainly recipes, but my long-term plan is to throw in some of this stuff. Like if you've seen some of my shorts, like if I see something that comes up like the American Heart Association heart check, which is totally bogus. Things like that, I just want to put to people's attention, not necessarily harp on it, but if you're not aware of it, then a lot of people will go to the grocery store and they're looking specifically for those things because they don't know. So education is just a huge thing, and now just seeing people's success stories, I mean, that's what's driving me now. I mean, the comments are unbelievable that you guys have come up with. Like, this has helped me do this. This has helped me reverse this. This has helped me lose this much weight. Somebody yesterday just said that they had gotten to their goal weight, which was about 120 pounds less than where they were. I mean, things like that. That's what it's all about. That's what can be done. That's how powerful this way of eating is. And I mean, you guys' successes are our successes. And, you're helping us put some message out. I mean, and you don't have to say anything. People are going to ask you like, well, wow, you look a lot different than you did a year ago. What have you been doing? It's going to spread. I mean, you can't help but talk about it, but Chris is right. I think Dustin mentioned too, you can't go and just push it on people like, hey, I'm looking good. This is what you need to be doing. People are going to come ask you, and you're going to be able to talk about it because of the testimony that you're giving just by what's changing in your life. Your energy levels may change. You'll probably be a whole different person. I mean, there's stories like that all the time. I know you guys get it as well. I mean, Chris has done something. I mean, I read some of Chris's comments. I mean, people were doing unbelievable things with Carnivore. People were doing unbelievable things with Keto, even dirty Keto. And, when I started my channel, before I did the Best Body Blueprint, my channel idea was going to be called the New Standard American Diet. And what I wanted to do with the recipes was just replace what people were eating. So if somebody was eating like a Snicker bar, all right, let me come up with a better version of the Snicker bar for them. If somebody's down here eating green bean casserole, squash casserole, whatever it is, let me make a healthier version that if they just change their diet and start eating these things and didn't do anything else, I mean, it's going to, just eating the whole ingredients and good ingredients are going to change your life. And then you can dig into it more and pare it down even more. But that's why I started doing that Keto for Beginners series, because I'm like, people, somebody emailed me and said, look, I've been just eating these recipes and nothing's happening. I'm like, well, that's not really what I designed. And maybe I should have done that in the beginning in hindsight. But so now I'm kind of going back to basics, and then you can use that stuff, but, to fill in the gaps. But, that was kind of my intention. And, it's been a great success, and seeing y'all's successes is what makes me feel successful. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. That keeps me going. That keeps me wanting to do what I'm doing. And hopefully y'all like some of the wellness content that I'm bringing up too. But sorry for rambling, but go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. I was just listening and enjoying. Every now and then, when one of us gets to preaching, we just drop some good knowledge. You just let it go. It's good. No, I totally agree. And I think what's really interesting is Ash and I have both had this experience a lot lately, where we end up talking to somebody about keto and carnivore, and we have this experience where, when we talk to them and we're like reasonable and we're common sense about it, and we're not, telling them you need to eat 4 sticks of butter a day, or you're not doing it right, or you have to eat 4 pounds of ribeyes and salt and nothing else. Like, when we don't go to that extreme thing, average, regular, normal, I'm trying to change my life people appreciate that, and it impacts them way more. And they oftentimes will tell us, like, you guys aren't really what I thought you would be. Like, when I heard that, you were keto, you were carnivore, you were whatever, I expected you to be like the Facebook groups or like the YouTube comment sections, or whatever, with some of the craziness, right? And as much as going further and deeper and harder and all this kind of stuff can maybe be helpful for some people, I think one of the things that success really hinges upon, and the reason that things are growing, is this idea that this can be easy and this can be for real people and this can fit into an actual real lifestyle. And this is not about just overnight flipping a light switch and giving up everything you've had for your entire life to do something that everybody else thinks is totally crazy. This is based on common sense, it's based on science, it's based on the results of hundreds of thousands of people that are now out there in the world that are talking about these low carb ways of eating, and they're showing their results. And so it's not us trying to be crazy or do anything that is here from a standpoint of, can we be shocking, can we be dramatic, can we any of those kinds of things. That is not our point, that is not our purpose, that is not why we are here. We are here to say, you need to figure out what works for you. You need to find the things that help you be stable. You need to find the things that help you feel like you are in control, like you can maintain a lifestyle of making better choices for yourself. And that's low carb ingredients, and maybe sometimes recipes, and maybe it's not lots of recipes. Maybe it's really simple because you hate cooking. Like, whatever it is that works for you, however you adjust the style of how this works, and you play with things like your carb content. Do you do 20 grams a day? Do you do 50 grams a day? Do you do 10 grams a day? Do you have to stay as close to zero as possible? What about your fat? Are you high fat, moderate protein? Are you moderate fat, high protein? Do you feel better with red meat? Do you feel better with more chicken and fish? Like what are all these different details, and how do they impact your life and your body? And when you take this really common sense approach of, we're all humans, we can all still have fun social gatherings, we can all share food and experience breaking bread, hopefully carnivore bread or keto bread, but some form of bread, right? Breaking that proverbial bread together as humans and not denying the social and cultural humanity of our food and the way that we live and the way that we experience the world. But we can do all of that with better and cleaner ingredients and low carb lifestyles that support our metabolic health. They help us lose weight. They help us get our brain clear. They help get the inflammation out. They get rid of the pain. They help us to heal all of these different things, whether it's skin issues or the weight loss or hair problems or bone issues or internal issues, or there are thousands upon thousands of things that people have reported that they are fixing, reversing completely, even treating things that are just progressive diseases that are supposed to always get worse. They're actually going backwards for people, and they're seeing improvement in symptoms doctors say is impossible. Like, these are the kinds of things we're seeing, and it's not because of people eating sticks of butter and eating raw slabs of meat with no salt and going as crazy as they possibly can. This is all very much based on just real life common sense things that are being taught gently and politely and with authority, but in a very loving, kind way, rather than the I'm going to beat you over the head with my belief like it's a religion vibe. And that's why this is working. That's why so many people are starting to come around to this, because Ash and I get this reaction from people thinking, I didn't think you were going to be that way. Because what I've seen online from these groups is not that way. But you guys, like, you're actually real. You're actually realistic. You're common sense. It's like, well, I don't know if I could really do carnivore. Can I have a salad every once in a while? Yeah, sure, go for it. Wait, really? Yeah, yeah, you can. I'm not going to lambaste you for eating a salad because I'm the carnivore recipe guy. Like, I don't find any benefit in that. And people who are looking for a realistic approach to being able to do this and sustain this long term and feel like they're not giving up their whole life, they need something more than a beating over the head. And The fact that people like Dustin are out here and Victor is out here and there's a bunch of other influencers out there and I'm doing the best that I can to do this. The fact that we are here and we're trying to pull the community together and we're trying to say it may work a little better for you this way, it might work a little better that way, but here's a general guideline, our general tips and tricks. Let's all share what's working. Let's all figure out why it works for each of us, and let's all support each other in winning, in succeeding, even if your version of that is a little different and tweaked from mine. I'm going to celebrate that and I'm going to support you, and we're going to learn from each other. And in time, we're going to improve, and maybe it gets better and cleaner and more strict as we go. Whatever, we'll figure it out, but we're going to do it together, travel on this journey as a community and as a family. That's why we're here. That's what we're doing. And that's why we are seeing new people coming in here, because people like Dustin and Victor, hopefully myself, and a bunch of other influencers who are doing the same thing, that are talking about keto and carnivore, and they're doing it from a realistic, helpful, supportive, we are a community standpoint. They are reaching new people, and the buzz terms about animal-based diets and keto diets and carnivore diets and getting rid of inflammation and reducing your oxalates, or like whatever the things are that are out there, it's all starting to permeate further and further, and new people are starting to come in and look for answers. And not going to get into politics, but because of everything that's going on politically with movements like the Make America Healthy Again, like any of these different things, it's in people's minds. It's in the media, it's on TV, it's in the newspapers, it's online, it's all over the internet, on YouTube, it's everywhere. So people are thinking about this. This is our opportunity to supportively and with actual common sense and reality go and scoop as many of those people in as we can and make them feel welcome and make them feel supported and help them change their lives one step at a time, one ingredient at a time, and give them the resources to help truly impact their future. And that's what we're really trying to do. And I think we're seeing that happen. And I'm not going to speak for myself, but for these two guys on the screen here, these two guys that are with me, these are the kinds of people that are pushing and driving this forward. This is why it is succeeding, because guys like Dustin and Victor are here doing the work and trying to help people, trying to put this information out there, and more people are finding us every day.
100%. I couldn't have said that better myself. But I did see we had a super chat from Evil Lynn, and I wanted to make sure that we do touch on that. She says, can you talk about electrolytes and why we need them? And I imagine that we all have a little bit of a different opinion on those, or different use case scenario for those. I know how I utilize those. I use them as I need them. I don't necessarily drink them every single day. Some days I do, especially when it starts to get hot outside and it's 90 degrees, 80 degrees, and I'm outside more, especially if I'm out with the granddaughter and we're going for walks, or we're going to the park, or I'm trying to keep up with her and it's super hot and I'm sweaty. I'm going to utilize more electrolytes, or sometimes even in the wintertime, because I do know that it's cold out and it's very, very cold and dry. People will not think about their thirst, and they won't think about their hydration. So I think it really just depends on how you feel. Um, are you crampy? Are you thirsty? How do you feel? And you don't necessarily need to use Salty or Element or any of the other brands out there. You can hodgepodge your own together. You can make your own. I know Element has a recipe on their website. There's snake juice. You can go and find that guy's recipe. There's all kinds of them out there. Um, so that's kind of my take on it. I think if you need it, you can take it every day. You can go every other day. Really just depends on what you need. But we'll talk, and we'll let Victor and Chris kind of outline how they feel about it.
Yeah, and I've got an electrolyte recipe that I use that I kind of put together primarily to begin with to save money. But secondarily, there's some things that I think that some of the brands are lacking in that you can find. But now I do use Salty packets, but I would say 95% of the time I make my own. And I've got a video on my channel how I make I've actually got two. I redid it. I kind of changed my formulation a little bit just a few months ago. But why we really need them is we're talking about magnesium, we're talking about sodium, we're talking about potassium. And those are stored in and around your cells. And when you're eating a higher carb diet, then those are stored in the cells with some water. Well, you start keto, you're going to start losing water. That's why in the beginnings of keto, a lot of people will lose a lot of weight really fast. You're losing water. And so when you lose that water that's in the cells, with it goes the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium. And those are crucial for bodily functions, not to mention, just to avoid the keto flu, or that's what we call it. I mean, it's any diet, any way that you look at it, going back to even Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. I mean, it's detoxification symptoms is what it is. Your body is detoxing, getting rid of junk. And so when that happens and you totally change that, you're going to have headaches. You might have, you might be really tired. You might have brain fog. You might have a lot of symptoms that if you have the correct amount of electrolytes and you're replenishing your electrolytes, you can avoid a lot of that stuff. And so when Dustin's video came out, I'm like, I mean, and I've got a channel. I do videos and I talk about stuff like that. I'm like, man, when I'm out working in the dead of summer, you don't have to tell me I need electrolytes. I know. I listen to when my body says, hey, you need something to drink, it's usually electrolytes. I drink very little plain water. It's either usually Zevia, mineral water, or electrolytes. When I get thirsty, I drink it. You don't have to tell me that in the middle of summer, but wintertime too, you might get into kind of a little funk. You might be a little bit low energy. And Dustin's video came out. I'm kind of like, well, man, I've kind of been feeling like that the last few days. So, and I'm thinking, well, when's the last time I had any electrolytes? And I mean, I'm deep into keto, more low carb now, really. But I mean, I'm probably 40, 50 grams a day total. So I did some electrolytes. I'm like, yep, that did it. The sodium especially is something that is helpful in keto, but it really is just, I mean, your body needs the magnesium, potassium, and sodium to function correctly. And so that's really why you would want to do that. And I see the question up here that Dustin put. My last blood work showed my sodium was high, so no electrolytes. Correct. I would say, I mean, there's so many factors that could be involved in that. That would be a question for your doctor. I feel like that's getting in the realm of medical advice, and none of us are here tonight to give medical advice. We're giving our own personal opinions and experiences. I would, if it were me, I would probably do some myself, but not the amount. But I'd have it checked, and there's a reason that's high, and that's what you really kind of need to get to the bottom of, is why the sodium's high. It's not from getting too much salt 9 times out of 10. There's an underlying reason that you need to find, and so yeah, you can totally make your own electrolytes, cheaper, but I keep the salty packets if I'm on the go. I don't have time, especially if I'm traveling. I mean, you don't want to go through the airport with a plastic container of white powder. It doesn't go real well with TSA. So having something in little packets, that's kind of the ticket. Our shows and things in the fall and winter, we don't have time to bring all the stuff with us. So, for me, the convenience of those are awesome, but I'll make my own. Chris, what do you think about it?
I love my electrolytes. I love, specifically the ones that I use most frequently are Salty by Keto Chow, and I think all of us probably have a discount code for Keto Chow and Salty, you can probably go to our description boxes and click that, and saves you 10% and gives us a little credit, a little kickback for the fact that you used our link to go to the website. We appreciate that. It's a easy way if you're going to go buy Keto Chow or Salty Electrolytes or something anyway, then it just makes it a free way for you to support us in the process, and you save some money as well. I drink Salty every day, and I do that just because it's really convenient, and I love the flavors. They work really well for me. I have them every day because if I don't, I get leg cramps really bad. And I believe that the original chat, the super chat that Evelyn put up was because I think there was a conversation going on in the comments about electrolytes, and someone who's less than 6 months on keto, I think it was having leg cramps at night. And so I was having that really, really bad. And the only way those finally stopped, I was doing electrolytes. I was drinking Element electrolytes back in the day because that was just the ones that I had heard were the best. And nothing against them. I know some people love them. Great. They just didn't work that well for me personally because I was still getting cramps and I was really struggling. When I switched to Salty, when they first came out, they sent it to me for me to test out. And when I first switched to Salty, my leg cramps went away. And that's because of the higher amounts of magnesium and potassium that are in there. So a lot of times, sodium is easy to get because you can put salt on your food. It tastes good. And, you have this really highly developed piece of technology in your life that tells you if you need more salt. If it tastes good, if it tastes salty, it's good. If it tastes too salty, you don't need that much salt. Your body knows when it needs salt, so it'll tell you. But magnesium and potassium are a little bit harder because things that used to be all of the trace minerals in our water supply, all that gets filtered out now. And so we don't get all of the electrolytes. We don't get the blood of animals that we've killed, that there's still some blood in the meat. Like all these different ways where we used to get electrolytes and extra salts, magnesium, potassium, whatever. We don't get nearly as much of that anymore. And so I use Salty electrolytes, but I have a free ebook for anybody that's interested. You can go to my website and you can download that. It's just chriscookingnashville.com. I have a free ebook. In there, I have a written recipe for making your own electrolytes. So if for whatever reason the versions of electrolytes that Dustin and Victor have available for you somehow doesn't do it for you, you can come check out mine too. So we have lots of resources for you guys to get your electrolytes. But I think if you are feeling like you are running out of energy, if you are experiencing muscle cramps, if you are feeling just kind of run down, or maybe you're getting headaches or any of these kinds of things, and it's not carbs, it's not eating something that maybe you're sensitive to, it's not any of these other things that it could theoretically be, and you're like, no, I'm doing all this other stuff right. There's something that's not right, and it's not like 2 days of this. It's been like 3 months, and I'm still getting cramps, and I'm still struggling with these things, whatever. Usually that's probably an electrolyte imbalance because depending on what your body's going through, as it's healing, it's losing weight, it's doing all this different kind of stuff, your body has to go through a lot. And usually when it gets rid of all of the inflammation and the extra water and the toxins and the junk that it's held onto for decades as we've abused it, a lot of our electrolytes go with that. And when you don't have electrolytes in your body, guess what struggles? The electrical signals going through your body, through your nervous system, to your muscles, to your organs, to everything that's supposed to function. That's why we need electrolytes, because our body has to have those minerals to function as a proper biochemical system. So I highly, highly recommend that everybody add them in. And if you feel like you're wasting money and you're not getting any benefit from those electrolytes, go for a day or two without them and see if you notice a difference. Because that's the thing for me is, I tried cutting back on my electrolytes because I was like, I feel like maybe I'm just drinking these every day. Maybe I just really don't need that anymore. My body's adapted. It took about 2 days for me to be like, nope, I'm putting those back in because I feel a lot better and I have a lot of energy. And now maybe eventually I'll get to a point I don't need them. But as of right now, my body still says, no, I really like having those extra electrolytes. That makes us function better and feel better. So I think it's really important to at least try and see what you find you feel best doing when it comes to your electrolytes. And as far as this thing of too much sodium, if you eat too much salt and there's too much sodium, your body can essentially just pee it out. Like you don't need to hang on to extra sodium as long as your kidneys and your liver and all of these various things that help, your body flush out all the junk, as long as all that stuff works properly, things like sodium don't build up in your body because your body gets rid of what it doesn't need. So it's like, to Victor's point, obviously we're not doctors and can't give you any medical advice, but just based on what we all know, I would say you should probably talk with a doctor about, okay, but why is my body holding on to the sodium? Like, I get, okay, maybe it is, but why? What's the actual underlying issue? And if you don't feel like your doctor wants to work with you on that, I would suggest go to Dr. Barry's channel and give him a super chat on one of his Monday Night Lives or something similar. If you don't see a video that he already has about sodium, go do a super chat and tell him, like, here's the deal, here's where my sodium level is, what's my next step? And I'm sure he would be able to give you some direction on that because he is far smarter about the medical stuff than I could ever be. So yeah, that's a really great question. But I think electrolytes are great. I say go for them.
Hey, and let me jump in real quick just so I don't forget. So I would also ask what kind of salt you're using. And the reason, and Chris had mentioned salty, and we do all have, discount codes for that and everything. The reason I have a discount code with it is because I believe in the ingredients. Number one, I don't use any salt that's not colored. Where there's Celtic sea salt is fine to me. My favorite two are pink Himalayan and the Redmond real salt. And I've got another one that I'm trying to see how I like it. But the thing is, I mean, you've got, once you process the salt, there's 84 minerals in salt, in pure salt, that they strip out to give it that white color. You get a pink salt, it's going to have little flakes of brown in it. The Redmond's real salt is not a, it's not a, a plain pink color. There's a lot of minerals that you need in there. And that, if you're not using that and you've got higher sodium, some of the other electrolyte brands use the cheapest ingredients they can get. That's why I'm not a fan of some of the other ones. I won't be promoting them. You won't hear me talk about them. I don't like them. The cheaper salts are not doing you any good. The iodized salt is not doing you any good. The iodized salt doesn't have enough iodine to do anything in it. So your salt choice, what you salt your food with, is super important. Get pink Himalayan, Redmond's real salt. Another one I'll be talking about soon. Something that has not been stripped of all the mineral content.
And one question I have is, we obviously want to talk to your doctor, but one question I would say is, what does, in their opinion, high sodium mean? Because I think that's the thing that we have to look at, because for so long we have been promoting, or have been promoted to us, a low sodium diet. So if we're still looking at a low sodium context, is the high sodium that they're looking at actually high? Would you look at, could they provide you with the numbers? And then I would say what Chris said, go talk to Dr. Barry, send a super chat, and one of us does, like, I think 2 lives a week most of the time. Drop a super chat, probably $5. Hey, these are my sodium numbers. Would you consider these high? And I would say go from there. I think that's a good place to start. Just because your doctor says something is high, and I'm not trying to say you can't trust your doctor, but I'm saying second opinions are always helpful. And I wanted to say, just kind of staying within this electrolyte conversation that we're having, there's another question in here. This one is from unknown. So they're probably just wanting to be anonymous. So what they're saying is, what if one suffers extremely from muscle cramping on a daily basis and taking electrolytes daily doesn't seem to work for me? I have to drink salt water or soy sauce water to alleviate the cramping. So that would say to me, maybe the electrolytes you are taking aren't sufficient in sodium content. Maybe the ratios of potassium and magnesium aren't sufficient as well. Not to say that soy sauce and salt water would have those as well, but we all know that not all electrolyte packets or all electrolyte mixes are created equal. Like, say, there are brands out there that don't even have magnesium in them, and they are much lower in sodium than you would think. And then there are some that are about 1,000 milligrams each. So, or yeah, 1,000 milligrams, so 1 gram of sodium per packet. So I would kind of start to play around with that. Look at the packets. Look at the brand you're taking. Look at the actual content in there, and kind of say if I'm taking 2 tablespoons of soy sauce or putting this amount of salt in my water, you know, how much am I using? What's actually in these electrolytes? Because again, all brands are different. They're all utilizing different ratios of sodium, potassium, magnesium, um, uh, chloride, and all these things, or whatever it is. Like they'll even put some like baking soda sometimes in there. So these are all wonderful questions to ask. Because I mean, you want obviously you want to make sure you're alleviating those cramping, because cramping in the middle of the night is awful. And another one from them says, plus, I have a doctor. The doctor has given up trying to figure out why cramping is so bad. So you have a doctor that's given up. It's time to find a new doctor, because you have the power. You have, basically, it's with anything, with any kind of service that is being provided to you. Choose with your wallet. Choose with your HSA. Choose with your health insurance. I know sometimes it's difficult to find a doctor, but there are resources out there. I don't necessarily know where you're from, but there are resources where you can find low carb doctors in your area. I know in my area, unfortunately, there isn't one that I found, because I'm trying to do some things in the central Indiana area to help others who don't know about this kind of stuff. So I have been looking to see if there's a practitioner in the area that would be willing to help me, and I haven't been able to find one yet. But this is just one of those things where uh, just kind of understanding how much sodium is in there. It's like pickle juice doesn't work for them. So yeah, I would say just kind of pay attention to the electrolytes you're actually utilizing, because you can get the different brands out there. Like typically the brands that are sold in most grocery stores aren't packing enough punch. Unfortunately, we're in a situation now where to get the good ones, you either have to make them yourself or order them online. Now, like we've all said, we all are affiliates with various electrolyte companies. We're all affiliates with Salty, which is a subsidiary of Keto Chow. So any one of us can give you a discount on that if you so choose. If you're going to buy it anyway, look into that for us. We do get a kickback on that. So full transparency there. But just we want to make sure that we're providing the most accurate and most open-minded information we can, because again, not all electrolytes are treated equal, because salty and element are they're two different formulations. You're going to get different ratios. So one may work and one may not. So, and I
I
wanted to
wanted
touch.
to.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just wanted to jump in because I just saw it popping up in the chat related to what Dustin was just saying about these electrolytes. If if certain things, like say for example pickle juice is not helping, but if you're drinking salt water or the soy sauce water or whatever, if that's alleviating it some, it says that there's something about that that is not in those electrolytes, which is why it's helping. So one of the things that I would say is the first thing you need to do, because I don't know what kind of electrolytes you're talking about using, but you need to look at what is the form of magnesium and what is the form of potassium, because different forms of things like sodium, magnesium, and potassium are more absorbable than others. And if they put like a cheap magnesium, or if you order the wrong kind of magnesium or something, you can put buckets of that stuff in there and your body doesn't absorb enough for it to actually make a difference. So make sure the kind of magnesium and the kind of potassium you have are the right kind. And for me personally, if I'm cramping, it's a magnesium issue. It's always for me that I'm low on. It's always magnesium that makes a difference. But if I don't have the right kind, I'm just wasting my money. So I would just throw that in there of specifically what forms of those minerals are you getting, because that makes a huge difference.
So, yeah. So there you go. To your point, you're using my recipe and it's not helping. So I would add more of the salt to it, if that's what it takes to. And if you use, as long as you're using the Redmond's real salt or the pink Himalayan, and it's real pink Himalayan, because there's knockoffs out there too. Um, and so if you're using those and it's not enough, I mean, sometimes I'll drink 2 to 3 Most of them are going to have about 1,000 milligrams of sodium, but like Chris said, the form of sodium that it is vastly different in what element uses, what salt he uses. But if you're using the Redmond real salt, like I recommend, or some real pink Himalayan, add more of it. And then you won't have to go and supplement with soy sauce. I mean, it's definitely the sodium, because soy sauce has, I mean, trace amounts of magnesium, potassium, but I mean, you'd have to drink a lot of it to get, you think of cramps, usually you think of potassium. But I think your case, it is definitely so. Just add more of the salt in there. Um, and I mean, prime example, my wife, as much as I hate to admit it, she doesn't like my recipe because she likes the taste of Dr. Berg's electrolytes. So we get the Dr. Berg's electrolytes for her, and I dump sodium in it because it has very little sodium. The magnesium, potassium is okay, but the sodium in it is like nothing. So just about every electrolyte, including mine, is going to be about 1,000. But sometimes I may, especially in the summertime, I may have to do 2 or 3 a day of them. Some people are doing, 3 to 5 grams of sodium a day, depending on where you're at. If you're brand new, especially, you're going to need more, until your body gets adapted. So yeah, if you're using my recipe, just add in a little more salt. You could safely double it, and just see if that helps, so you don't have to supplement with the soy sauce.
There are a couple super chats that I'm going to grab and get to. This one right here is from Yogi for Chris and Ash.
Thank you so much, Yogi. Says the band love Chris and Ash. If you guys did not know, and actually Victor and Dustin are both a part of the band, but we have a private community. It is, if you're on my channel, I have it pinned as a comment for you guys. The link, it's also in the description box, or you can just go to chriscookingnashville.com, come over there and join that community, and you get extra support. And we're all talking about the success and the community lifting each other up. That's exactly what that group is all about. And there's some extra things in there, but the band is why I am able to do what I do, and we just appreciate our band so much. Thank you, Yogi, for that. That is so very sweet of you.
And here is one from our good friend Shauna. She says, you can test your pink Himalayan salt, put 1 to 2 tablespoons in a glass of water overnight. The minerals will be in the bottom. Good salt with minerals. That's something I didn't even think about.
That's a great tip. That's absolutely how you test it. Yep.
Awesome. Yep. And if you go to eat something that has a little bit of this, you can always tell, like Redmond's or a good pink Himalayan salt from a cheap salt. If you go to eat something that you put some of that salt on, and if every now and then you get a little bit of a gritty something or another in there, it's like, oh, yep, there it is. That's the minerals. Those are good.
That's the rock. You got rocks in your mouth.
All right, let's go. I know I saw some other questions in here. We've got a lot of these starred. You guys are asking great questions tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and see if we can find some of these, and let's see, we can find make sure we get all the questions and some of the successes. There's a lot of successes in here that I want to touch on tonight. You guys are doing amazing stuff, and I want to make sure we showcase as much as we can. But I know I saw some questions. I'm just going to get those out of there first. Here is one from Judy. Any thoughts on Dr. Westman? He puts out debunking myth videos. I am a fan of Dr. Westman. I don't necessarily watch all of his debunking content. I've actually met him in person. He is a very nice man. I know he has been doing low carb and keto research since the 90s. So prior to, the Atkins explosion in the early 2000s, I know he actually worked alongside Atkins for a little while as well. He's out of Duke University. So he is, I would say, probably he is one of the most legitimate people, in my opinion. So you take that with a grain of salt, if you will, out there. So I think, Dr. Westman is pretty spot on. And again, I don't ever agree with anything or everything anybody says, but he is one of the top people out there that I can typically agree with most of what he says, or typically agree with most of what he says. Now, the other gentleman may have different thoughts on Mr. Westman, but
no, and I completely agree. Dr. Westman is doing great work. His protocol, which I didn't even know until somebody asked me one day, is this Dr. Westman's protocol? And, what I was talking about of how to do like basic keto and what I do. And then so I started looking into it. I'm like, well, yeah, he does about exactly what I do, because I felt more aligned with what Dr. Berg was doing, except for the fact of he was talking about doing 7 cups of salad a day. And I'm like, man, I can't do that. And I don't know many people that can. And so just, experimenting, and what I've done over the years is a couple cups of salad a day, which is what Dr. Westman recommends. And for those fortunate enough, and there's somebody in my private Facebook group that is a patient of Dr. Westman's that goes to Dr. Westman, and he's personally coaching them and helping them up at Duke University. So he does fantastic work. He does these debunking videos and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, he's a fantastic resource. I don't, I really haven't found anything yet that I don't agree with that he has said, but again, I don't watch a whole lot of them, but I know enough to know that, I've read through all his protocols and things, and I completely agree with it. That's the way to do keto. I mean, plus some of our recipes, and desserts if you have to. He would not agree with the desserts, but so maybe I do disagree with him on that.
I really like Dr. Westman too. I don't watch. I'm like Victor. I don't watch necessarily a lot of his stuff, but the things that I have watched, I enjoy. I also think he is a valuable resource to the keto and carnivore world because of the fact that he does the things with Duke that he does. Because it's one thing to be a doctor in a medical system, it's another thing to be a research university-based doctor where you're doing like the actual studies and you're involved not just in the medicine side but the university side. And he is really good at understanding what needs to go on sort of the research side of being a doctor because of his involvement at Duke. So it's just a really good insight that I think is a very valuable resource for the keto and carnivore world as we're trying to get more information out there. We're trying to take in more information from the studies or understand why things are certain ways. Like, he is the guy that is the expert at that. And, again, we don't necessarily agree on everything with anybody out there. We always kind of all have our different tweaks and whatever. Maybe there are things that I wouldn't agree with him on or whatever, but I think overall he's doing really good stuff. And I think the diversity of all of our various interests and skills and the connection points we all have is what makes our community work so well. And I think that that makes him a really valuable resource for our community that we should all really be able to appreciate the things and the insights he can offer and the things he can bring and the knowledge that he has. So I think he seems like a really cool guy. I'd like to meet him someday.
I'd like to hopefully get him on Keto Crusade one time. I think we would probably be a great episode if we could get him and pick his brain a little bit and have him hang out with the community for a little while. That being said, it looks like Jennifer Lucas has a question. Jennifer Lucas says, have you shifted more to eating for fuel more than eating for pleasure? Have you stopped eating both in a fog unintentionally and binge eating?
Well, I can take that one first. I eat for pleasure too. Now, what I will say for myself personally, I don't snack between meals. Now I make keto snack videos. I make keto dessert videos. But I eat all those in my eating window. So, like if I'm going to have a snack, like say some of the low carb chips or whatever that I make, I do it right before the meal, like as an appetizer. So I still have the snacks and things. I just don't have them between meals, because that's one thing you want to really control is insulin. And if you're snacking between meals, then insulin's constantly coming in to try to lower the blood sugar. Um, so me personally, I still eat. I mean, to to me, and I mean, a lot of people will disagree, but uh, I mean, there's an aspect of food that is pleasurable. It is nice to sit down with your family and have a nice meal, and somebody say, "Oh, I really like this," and so I don't want to deprive myself of those things. That's why I tried to start creating these recipes to begin with, is so that I didn't have to. Some people can't do what I do. Some people cannot have desserts, and that's just you know being the guinea pig on yourself. Some people call it N equals one, or whatever you want to call it. I call it being a guinea pig. You got to find out what works on yourself. If you can do the desserts like I do, great. Some people can't. Some people, that'll force them, that just a sweet taste in their mouth will force them back to a bad habit or a food addiction or whatever the case may be. So it is totally an individual thing. I don't unintentionally eat. I am intentional in what I eat, and I don't binge eat. So in that aspect, I would say it is more for fuel, but I'm still having some good things I enjoy at the same time.
I think it's a really good point. So, Jennifer, this is a fantastic question, and I really appreciate you asking it, because this is something I really like talking about, and these two guys on screen are like, oh boy, here goes Chris. So here's the thing. The thing that makes us different than animals is the fact that we have the ability to apply our intellect and our artistic nature and our human nature to things like our food, right? You know who doesn't eat for pleasure? A spider that's sucking the guts out of whatever it is that ended up caught in its web. A predator that is eating purely off of instinct, that is ripping the innards out of something that are raw. When people say you should eat for fuel and that food is fuel and it's not supposed to be entertainment, what they're really saying is the problem is not that you are having a pleasurable experience of what you're eating. The problem is when you prioritize having a pleasurable experience and then eat things that are not actually food. That's when it becomes a problem, because that is actually poisoning yourself for pleasure. And it's the same thing with smoking. It's the same thing with drinking alcohol. It's the same thing with doing illicit drugs. It's all of that. It is the sense of high that you get from something, even though it is a poison to your body. That's what they're really talking about. And I don't think the influencers that say that are thinking about this. And this is why it bothers me and gets under my skin so much, which is why I'm so passionate about this. If you really believe food is fuel and not pleasure, then you should reach into the refrigerator, grab the raw steak, and eat it while you're walking out the door. If you take the time to cook that steak and put salt on it, you're enjoying the taste of that steak as much as I do, which means you are eating for pleasure just as much as me. You're just making a smarter choice about what you put in your body, and that's the key. So, I eat for fuel, yes. I also eat for pleasure. People who I think are focused on not anything having to do with eating for pleasure, I think it's because they can't cook well enough to make their food taste good. And, that's like, sorry if you can't cook your steak to make it actually taste good, and you got to convince yourself that shoe leather is just fuel. But if that's the case, like, no offense, but I don't want to eat your food. We have taste buds on our tongue. Our body, whether you believe in divine creation, evolution, whatever, our body is made in such a way that our tongue is connected to our brain to tell us that something tastes good and we are having a good experience by eating it. That, by definition, is eating food for pleasure. The pleasure is what tells us this is good for you, it's okay for you to have it. The problem is how we have screwed up the brain-tongue-gut connection of everything by putting chemicals and artificial flavors and preservatives and fake salts and too much sugar. We have refined natural things into such concentrated amounts that when we put these things in our bodies, we have trained our tongue and our brain to think that that's what food is supposed to taste like. So if we take out the junk and we just put in good things that we know physiologically are good for us, and we know that our satiation hormones are not going to be totally out of whack because we're not eating a bunch of things that are messing with them, as long as you're putting in good things, I say eat for pleasure all day long. Eat for pleasure when you're hungry, stop when you're full, don't make dumb decisions about what you put in your food, and everything is right with the world. That's my view on that, which is why I think it's so fun to go in the kitchen and apply culinary prowess to proper human diet ingredients. And I don't think that means that I'm eating for entertainment in an unhealthy way. I think it means I'm eating for fuel and I'm entertaining myself in the process because I'm a good enough chef to do so.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it like from like a perspective that I come from as somebody who is a legitimate food addicted person, um, where I would basically try to eat myself to death every day, um, and unintentionally necessarily, but the idea that if we are to be successful, for us to be successful, we have to eat for just fuel and not enjoy the foods that we eat is not sustainable. Because again, as Chris said, we have taste buds. If I'm trying to feed myself something every day, whether it's beef, eggs, bacon, it doesn't matter if it's broccoli, whatever it is I'm trying to put in my mouth, if it doesn't taste good to me, if I don't enjoy that experience, eventually I'm going to give up. Eventually I'm going to grow tired of it. Eventually I'm going to have had enough and I'm just going to go back to what did taste good to me, which wasn't beneficial to me. Now, again, we can eat for pleasure. We do so often when we're sharing meals with loved ones, friends, colleagues, when we're out celebrating. You can celebrate with food in a healthy way. We went out yesterday and I went out and I had like 4 burger patties, a little bit of cheese, some onion and pickle. It was perfectly fine. They put the bun on it. I took the top of the bun off and ate around the bottom of the bun. No big deal. You can do it. It tasted wonderful. The thing is if I'm going to like say if I'm in a situation where I'm doing triple B and E, which I've been doing on and off for a good part of this year, beef patties they taste fantastic to me. A little bit of salt, eggs taste great, bacon everyone loves the taste of bacon. Basically, butter in your coffee tastes amazing. All these things taste very good. If I was trying to better myself with foods that didn't taste good, then I wouldn't be successful. And that's what we're here today is to celebrate how much success we've found by not only finding a good way to fuel our bodies, satiate ourselves, to find satiety and not have to worry about needing to stuff ourselves to the point of physical harm that I used to do and then go back for more, but where I can just go, okay, I get to that bite and I'm just done and I'm not feeling miserable. I feel good. I'm not even necessarily full. I'm just done. And that is one of those things that I never thought I would find. So, this is such a fantastic question because I think there are so many people out there who are not aware that this is even possible, especially people that were in situations like me with heavy food addiction where if I didn't feel like I was completely stuffed, I didn't get my money's worth, or I would keep going back until I did. So just finding this is just amazing to me. And I think that it has to be a healthy combination of satiety, fuel, and enjoyment, entertainment, if you will. So I think that's a very great question. I think it's a complex, nuanced answer. And I hope we provided that to you the best way we could and satisfied what you were looking for. I know that there are those influencers out there who do harp on the fact that you don't need to eat for pleasure, you don't need to eat for entertainment, but they're also not talking about finding satiety. They're not talking about proper human diet. They're still talking about everything in moderation, which is kind of a very slippery slope, especially for someone like myself. So, oh, yeah. um, let's take a look and see what other questions we have. I also like make sure that we do have time to get to um, some of these fantastic achievements that we've seen. One that I wanted to talk about here was Neuro Encoder. I have lost 260 pounds of fat. And I think that, that just takes, I don't know why I can't get my animations overlays to work here. I was trying to do some animations, but they're not coming through. So my apologies. I was going to do some fireworks or something, but they're not currently working. My apologies. But pretend that you're seeing sparkles. It looks like I think we just got another super chat. Let's go here. Let's see. From Jeffrey Cox. Jeffrey's awesome. He says, for $4.99, a ribeye is one of the most pleasurable experiences I've had every time, even when I was on the SAD or standard American diet. I absolutely eat for pleasures. 100%.
Absolutely. Jeff is a fantastic guy, and I actually had starred one of his comments earlier, meaning to go back to it because the comment I don't really even remember, and I don't think it was so important what the comment specifically was, but Jeff is actually a member of the band of the Chris Cooking Nashville private community. And Jeff is a great example that I think a lot of people could really follow. He works with patients, he does a bunch of different things. But Jeff teaches his patients, he teaches his boss, he teaches his friends, all these people about a proper human diet. And although he himself is very strict, meat, salt, water basically, he does not beat other people up and expect all of them to be that way. He just encourages them to take the carbs out, to take the seed oils out, to take the junk out, and put in all of the good low carb foods, the high protein, the high fat, all these things. And he messages me on a regular basis telling me about his newest win with, I got this patient to let me get rid of all the junk in their pantry, and we brought in ground beef and eggs and butter and tallow, and we got rid of all of the seed oils and all the stuff. Or my boss has been doing carnivore and now they feel amazing. Or like any of these things, Jeff is going out and he is literally changing the world around him in the scope of the people that he has influence over. He is changing the world one plate at a time, and it is amazing. And he is a fantastic example that I think all of us can really learn from. He is as much of an inspiration to me as I hope we are for him. Really appreciate Jeff, and just you can see, I mean, he's had amazing results as well. And Jeff is just a good dude. We appreciate the work that he's doing and for the lives that he is also changing.
Looks like we got another super chat come in, this time from Donna. She says, gotta support the channel because we need desserts.
Thank you, Donna. Donna is awesome. Donna is my moderator for all my lives. She's a friend, and she helps me out. She's over in the private Facebook group too, and she's actually doing some testing for me today on a product that I really she's type 2 diabetic, and so a lot of the things that I'll recommend, I get her input on too. She'll test blood sugar and things like that, so that, and I may still recommend a product, but take it with a grain of salt. And I'll say, hey, if you're type 2 diabetic, make sure you check your blood sugar with this. So Donna is awesome. So Donna, thank you so much, and I got some more desserts coming for you. So
Donna's awesome. I actually had a chance to meet her a couple of weeks ago. She's fantastic.
that's
So
right,
glad
you
that
did.
she
Yeah.
came out. Yeah, I'm glad she came out.
Mhm.
And Jennifer Lucas for $5 says, I'm gonna assume that she meant to say steak and egg, boys. I mean, because I'm not sharing my eggs. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know if $5 would buy enough eggs for the three of us to share these days. I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, a dozen eggs between the three of us. I mean, what's that going to do? That's going to make it. That's like an appetizer.
That's right. I'm sure she must have meant steak and eggs, because you can get a steak a lot easier these days, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost cheaper.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go back, and I know there's some other great. Let's see. Here's a question: Have you combined keto and fasting? I think personally, I think they go hand in hand. Now, the level and the extent and the frequency of your fasting is going to vary, I think. But realistically, once you are keto or fat adapted, fasting just sort of becomes second nature. And we're not talking long-term fast. We're talking 16, 18 hours, being able to go 20 hours and not feel like you're going to starve to death. I think that was a huge win for me when I started doing this, because when I started doing the ketogenic lifestyle in 2016, I started at 12 and 12. I was doing 12 hours of fasting and 12 hours of a 12-hour eating window just to start, because I'd never really gone that long without eating before. I mean, as far as being that overweight. And Then I quickly went to 14 hours, a 14-hour fasted window, a 16-hour fasted window, 18-hour fasted window, but I took time. I was very slow and deliberate with that incremental increase, not to do it to where it was uncomfortable, but more intuitive, to where it was just, I'm cool. I'm still okay. And even still to this day, if I feel hungry, I'll eat because your body is going to tell you what it needs. And that's, I think, one of the biggest benefits to this. One of the biggest benefits and one of the most underrated successes that we can find with this lifestyle is the fact that we have significantly less noise as far as input or feedback with our bodies, to where when our body tells us something, we hear it loud and clear. Hey, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I need electrolytes. Once you're kind of in a year plus with a lifestyle like this, then like, okay, I feel a little groggy today. My head's kind of hurry a little bit. You don't have an acetaminophen deficiency is why you have a headache. No, there's another line cause of a headache. Maybe you haven't had enough caffeine if you're a caffeine person like me, or you're a little dehydrated, you need electrolytes, whatever the case is. But there's so much better understanding of what you need. So if you're not hungry, don't eat. And if you're hungry, go ahead, eat something. And I think that's a huge thing. So I think combining the proper human diet, keto, carnivore, and fasting is, well, I think they go hand in hand like peas and carrots and peanut butter and jelly. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I agree with you. Especially when you start though, if you're used to having, 3 meals a day and then a couple snacks in between, eating 5, 6 times a day, like a lot of them recommend now, which is just kills your insulin. And, that's the reason, people are in the shape they're in now. The easy way to start is first just cut out the snacks. But I do intermittent fasting every day. I probably at night sometimes, sometimes it's 9 o'clock when we get to eat. Sometimes it's later. But the next morning I'm fine. I don't need to eat. A lot of times I'll just do, I'd say 1 meal a day, but then I have the appetizer, the dessert, and I can eat enough at one sitting. I can eat. So I can eat enough to get what I need with 1 meal. But a lot of times lately I've been having two a day. Um, but if you're interested in that, just start with breakfast. And if you're having breakfast and you can't get away from that, but you want to try fasting, just move it 30 minutes to start with. If you're used to eating at 7 o'clock every morning, move it to 7:30, then move it to 8, then move it to 8:30. And before long you'll get used to that, and and then have a lunch that's maybe a little bigger, and then dinner. And then you may move to 1 meal a day. You may need two. My wife still does three, but she just waits longer to have the first meal because she can't eat enough in one sitting, like I can to get all the food I need. And I do supplementation and things too. So, um, but yeah, fasting is just like the supercharger to kickstart keto. If you can combine the two, the results are amazing. So, I would definitely recommend it to anybody.
I naturally end up fasting from time to time. I don't force myself to do it. I eat when I'm hungry. The most I eat is 2 times a day, and generally, I'll end up eating 1 meal a day and I have coffee in the morning, and that's just what my body does on carnivore naturally. So, I think that when you really dive deep into your keto or carnivore lifestyle, as you fix the satiation hormones and as you really understand what hunger is, you naturally are going to probably start fasting, because if you're eating lots of protein, lots of animal fats, lots of good things for you, your body is satiated and it goes, I don't need any food. I've got these other fat cells that I can burn. Like if you're already in fat burning mode, like it'll just keep going. And you just honestly, if you're busy and you're just focused on something, it's easy to forget to eat. The number of times that Ash has come up in here to the studio and I'm sitting here working on editing a video or something, and she's like, hey, you've been working for like 10 hours, 12 hours. You planning on eating dinner anytime today? And I'm like, oh, yeah, look at that. It's like 8 o'clock at night. It's like, oh, yeah, I am kind of feeling hungry, aren't I? Like that just happens. And that's a real superpower that you get by doing this kind of a thing. So yeah, I absolutely have fasting that happens. Now I don't do like long-term forced fasting. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing or anything. It's just not something that I really have done. I've done it a couple of times, but it's not something I try to consistently do. But there are some benefits, it seems, to maybe occasionally doing that. And if that works for you, that's cool too. But I think some intermittent fasting naturally happens when you're getting the proper amount of fat and protein in your diet.
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to add there too. If you're new to intermittent fasting, you wake up and you've been moving that window back, like I said, from 8 to 8:30 to 9 or whatever, and you feel like you're hungry in the mornings, do some electrolytes or do some salt in your coffee or whatever. Wait 10, 15 minutes, and there's a good chance that is going to go away. That it wasn't really hunger; it was just kind of a feeling that you get, and then a little bit of electrolytes, because in the mornings you're depleted in that. So if you're just starting with that, that's a good tip to know if you're really hungry or not. And if after 15, 20 minutes of doing that you're still hungry, eat.
And Scott Elliott has a win here. My triglycerides went from 636 to 72 in 4 months. The doctor still wants to put me on a statin, but I'm resisting. That is insane on both levels. It's insane that you have gone that far that fast. And I wish I could. I know that Chris just did a little techno thing for you, and I would do some. Here, let's see. Here's some balloons. I don't know where they went, but they're there somewhere. I don't know. I think their layers are off here. Let's see.
That's the best I got. High five.
This is really awesome, Scott. It's fantastic. And especially, too, the fact that you are specifically looking at this as my triglycerides, not thinking about total cholesterol and all these other things. My triglycerides, the fact that you're tracking that, you're already one step ahead of the game. And the fact that you're resisting the statin, good for you. Good for you. You are informed and you are taking care of your body. That's amazing.
Yes,
And
it is.
let's see. I know we had more up here. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything.
And the
Let's
doctor's always going to want you on a statin, because then you're a customer. So you got to keep going back. If you get healthy, they lose a customer.
Neuroencoder says, I was in a wheelchair for 18 years, severe type 2 diabetic for 21 years, 6 insulin shots a day. Now I'm not. Take a moment and just soak up the sheer gravity of that situation. Imagine for a moment living that lifestyle and then finding a way out. It's like you've been able to accomplish what they say was impossible. And
that is absolutely incredible. I mean, that is a success story. That's what it's all about right there, and that's why we do what we do.
When we're saying keto and carnivore can absolutely change your life, this is the level of possibility that exists. And it may not happen for everybody, but it's certainly not going to hurt to give it a shot. And if you don't assume that nothing can help whatever the thing is you're struggling with, and you dive into this and say, you know what, miraculous results are possible, and you go for it and you give it a try, you don't have any idea how far you might be able to get. That's why all of us are so just excited constantly about what keto and carnivore can do. Because I mean, like, look at this. Like, this is how do you argue with someone who's standing in front of you saying, I spent 18 years in a wheelchair, tell me this diet's not good for me now?
Man, absolutely.
You shouldn't be able to, but we all know that there's probably somebody out there going, well, your cholesterol's probably high. Oh
right?
my goodness, I just can't. Like,
That's good that you're out of that wheelchair, but we better get you on a statin.
oh my goodness, enjoy your heart attack now. Oh, and Virginia's here. Virginia says, I am new to this and thankful for a friend, Jerry. We know Jerry, who made me a week of food to get me started. I have lost 12 pounds since January. It's amazing. This is what community can do. You're not preaching, you're not telling somebody they're doing it wrong. You're just walking food over to a friend and saying, here, I want to help. Here, have some food. And then you lose 12 pounds in a few months, where people struggle to lose that in a year sometimes, just from trying to kill themselves in the gym or eating 1,000 calories a day instead of what they're supposed to. There's just so many so many lifestyle affirming wins that I want to make sure that we don't get to the point where we can't see the forest for the trees. And by that, I mean, we can't see the successes because of all of the negativity. And I think we do allow the negativity to creep in, but we have to be sure that we are taking a moment, taking a step back, and then celebrating these wins, whether it's 12 pounds or getting out of a wheelchair or lowering your triglycerides, whatever the case is, we are here and we are winning.
Yeah, in Virginia, somebody's going to see what you've been doing and ask you, hey, wow, what have you been doing? And then you can tell them. That's how we're talking about this grassroots thing is, you don't have to go out and preach. People are going to ask you because something's changed. And, people are dying for that change and they don't know what to do. And now you can tell them. So congratulations on that. I mean, that is awesome. 12 pounds is awesome. You probably feel a ton better already, and you'll continue to.
And a huge rock on for Jerry for understanding that reaching out with a helping hand to help somebody up and teach them about keto or carnivore is better than trying to elevate yourself by knocking someone down who's already down and proving how they're doing it wrong as compared to you. Because change does not happen as a result of us judging and demeaning someone who's already struggling. Change happens as a result of, well, let me do the effort to try to help you take that first step and see if I can make it a little easier for you and see if I can be the help that I wish I would have had when I was in that same place. So rock on, Jerry, and rock on, Virginia.
Scott Elliott also said, great show, guys. I've been keto for 5 months. I had no idea what keto was, and I'm 56 years old.
Scott, that
The
is
fields. The fields are ripe for picking, folks. There are millions and millions and billions of people who don't know about keto or carnivore or low carb and the benefits of doing this, and it is our job to spread the message and tell people and show them the results and encourage them and not be a crazy cult that makes people go, I don't want to be a part of that. Be a real group of caring people in a community where people can feel welcome and they can come and they can make the mistakes and they can learn the information they don't already know and they can be taught with gentle kindness and we can help them. Because there are people just like Scott who 6 months ago did not know anything about what we're talking about right now.
And just like this morning, when I was live this morning, I had Caleb, Carnivore Quest. Caleb was in the chat, and it's going to take him. It's going to take people just like Caleb, who's 16 years old, because I was talking to the chat because a majority of the people on my chat this morning were all well of their 30s. We're preaching to people who are trying to claw their way back. We're sitting here trying to help those who are already clawing and fighting for survival. And we also have to understand it's not only just take us, it's going to take people like Caleb who are young and they're vibrant and they're finding this stuff out way earlier. They have a leg up on all of us because they're going to help others avoid a lot of the significant issues that we're seeing in these chats where, you're never going to get to be 260 pounds overweight. You're never going to get to, high triglycerides. You're not going to get to the point where you're type 2 diabetic in a wheelchair, because our kids are our future. They truly are. And I mean, if you know who Randy Watson is, that's what he sung about. And, you know, just understanding that we are doing what we do. And I'm so thankful that we are attracting people like Caleb, along with all the people that are doing the amazing work, and they're totally transforming themselves and making themselves healthy again with the proper human diet. And what Chris said is totally, absolutely correct, is there's billions of people on this planet who need help. And we have to learn to work together no matter what it is, no matter if it's paleo, keto, doesn't matter whether you're total carbs or net carbs. It doesn't matter if you eat keto tortillas or you don't, or you can eat broccoli or you can't. We all have to work together. It's going to take all of us to make a significant change, meaningful change, because right now we're helping hundreds of people. People like Dr. Barry are influencing thousands of people. But if we truly want to make a mark and significant change in the global pandemic that we see of obesity, sickness, everything, it's going to take us touching the lives of millions, if not billions of people. And I can't do that. Victor can't do that. Chris can't do that. Even with our powers combined, we have a reach of thousands, if not maybe a million people, which is a very big exaggeration, but still, the possibility is still there. But it's going to take you, Jeffrey. It's going to take Scott. It's going to take Neuroencoder, Virginia. It's going to take every single one of you and us and everybody else to make a true significant difference. And I think we're well on our way to doing that. We just have to keep pushing forward. We have to understand that we may be winning the war, but it's not over yet. We truly have to march on and continue fighting like our life depends on it, because it does. And it sounds like hyperbole or whatever you want to call it, but it's true. We've got a lot of people out there who don't know they need us. They don't know that help is out there. And again, we're not doctors or healthcare professionals or nursing staff or anything like that, but we're just people living this lifestyle who want to share it with other people to give them an understanding that this is possible. Because people like you coming to this show, showing us that it is possible, that you can get out of a wheelchair, you can lower your triglycerides, you can lose 260 pounds, all these things, you're getting off of medications, you're getting all, you're moving the needle. And I'm beyond thankful to be a part of this. And I know I don't necessarily speak for the other two, but I'm sure they feel the exact same way as me.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just the fact that you're 56, I mean, we we all grew up around the same time, and the reason you didn't know about keto is because it wasn't taught to you. You were taught the food pyramid. You were taught the American standards for for health, which is not for health at all. It's you were taught the same way that we all were, and that's why this grassroots thing is so strong, so powerful, and it's filtering upwards, and there's a lot of good things going on right now. And talking about the young kids like Dustin was. I mean, there's information now. So the younger generation may be like, well, you know what? I don't know about that, because this guy out there, Chris, this guy Dustin, this guy Victor, this Dr. Barry guy is saying this. I don't think I believe this food pyramid thing. I don't know if you saw my meme the other day about the South Park. The food pyramid is flipped upside down now, and there's more information out there, and the younger generation's not going to take everything that they see on the Saturday morning cartoons as gospel anymore. Like, you can eat some Lucky Charms; it's good for you. Eat your Lucky Charms. No, I mean, this is it's a movement, and we're a part of it, and we're going to win this thing, and we're going to help a lot of people, and you guys are going to help a lot of people. Y'all are the ones that spread this message. So I do what I can. I know these guys do what they can, but at the end of the day, y'all are the ones getting the results that are going to have people asking you, what in the world are you doing? Because something is not the same about you. Something's different. I need to know what it is, and y'all help us spread that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this message needs to be spread. And obviously, the three of us can only do so much. You guys, all of us, working together is the way that we do this. Something you all can do to help is make sure to hit the thumbs up on all three of our channels. Subscribe to all three of our channels. If you're only subscribed to one of us, subscribe to the other two. And watch our videos, share our videos, tell people about what we're doing, and not just our channels. Dr. Barry, Dr. Westman, whoever it is you like to follow, whoever it is that you find the information that you think something is helpful for somebody else, please share that and help us fight this battle, because we cannot do this on our own. And we are a little bit at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm gods when it comes to dropping into people's laps, and it makes it a lot more reliable if you guys say, I'm going to click the share button on this recipe and I'm going to send it to this person who would like it, or I'm going to click the share button on Dustin's video about this thing that he saw on this food label, and I'm going to send it to someone that I know that could benefit from that, or I'm going to send Victor's dessert over to this person that needs to cut the sugar out of their diet. Or like we are here and we are putting out this content, but you guys are the fuel that makes that engine run. You sharing, liking this video, commenting down below on whatever channel you're on, subscribing to all of us, that's how we do all of this. And it really makes a huge difference. Like we are truly winning this battle. And I saw, as I was sitting here and Victor was talking, there were two comments that popped up that I thought have something in common with each other that I wanted to share. One of them is this one. Keto Karen says, I'm on day 29 carnivore. So first of all, congrats for almost a full month of carnivore. That's awesome. And I resisted the urge to get fast food today. I've lost 14 pounds so far. Resisting that urge is a huge win. And this is something we need to recognize. This is a journey. And when you are able to resist the urge that you know comes from your previous lifestyle, and you say, no, I'm not going to do that today, that is a huge, huge step, because you just gave your brain one step further of freedom from being hooked on those things. And that is not something that should be underestimated, how important that is. As someone who is a binge eater, and fast food is like my go-to thing, like go through the drive-through and just make myself sick with so much food, I can tell you it is hard when you have that thing in your brain that fires, that suddenly you're thinking about going through that drive-through and picking up whatever that fast food is. Resisting that is hard, and in the moment it's very emotional and it feels very difficult. So Karen, I am proud of you. Congrats for 29 days on carnivore, for losing 14 pounds, which is massively cool, and also for resisting that urge for those crazy fast food things, right? Like being able to resist that. So there was that comment, and then the other one is right here. Steven says, I started keto 15 months ago and have lost 86 pounds. Okay, so first of all, huge weight loss. That's awesome. I lost my mind during the holidays, but have since got back on the wagon. Love channels like your guys that keeps the food interesting. So this is really important. So that thing Keto Karen is talking about, that urge to order fast food, for Steven, it was the holidays and the things you're surrounded at the holidays. And Steven is here saying, I lost my mind a little bit, but I'm back on the wagon. So here's the deal. Sometimes, like Karen, you resist the urge. That's a huge win. Sometimes, like Steven, you have 15 months of keto and losing 86 pounds. So first of all, huge rock on there. But second of all, you might fall a little bit during something like holidays when those pressures are around. Maybe you don't resist that urge as well. It's okay. Beating yourself up and giving up and emotionally letting that throw you into a turmoil where you then lose the next 2 years of your life to just eating whatever you want and feeling like a failure, that would be... And it happens to people. Believe me, it happened to me. I understand. So there's no judgment here. But that would be a waste of the beautiful human being that you are, to just say, oh, I'm a failure, I'm just going to give up. You don't have to do that. Be like Steven. And if you say, I'll lose my mind, get back on that wagon and come to places like Keto Simple and Southern Keto and Chris Cook in Nashville and Dr. Barry and Dr. Westman and whoever else that is you like. Come to these places. Ask for help, Ask for the community to support you. Come to my private community. These two guys are in there. The three of us and a whole bunch of other people are there. And tell us, guys, I'm struggling. I need the band to be behind me and help me. Do you have ideas? Do you have suggestions? How do I not let this happen next year when the holidays come around? Whatever. That's what we are here for. Because you cannot do this alone. No matter how strong you think you cannot do this alone. And you don't need to be embarrassed or feel bad if you're struggling. If you're like Steven and you say, I lost my mind during the holidays, excellent. Come here and let us support you and tell you that you are still just as valuable, just as capable, just as successful. We just got to get you back on track or help you. And it looks to me like Steven has done exactly what Steven needs to do. They're here in the chat. They're talking about this with the community. They're back on the wagon, and they're using the channels right here to inspire them to keep the food interesting, and they're using the tools to make sure they're continuing to be successful. So congrats, Steven, and thank you and Keto Karen both for sharing those successes. I just wanted to touch on those because I thought that was a really cool kind of flip side of that coin image right there, back to back.
And I wanted to touch here on Sharon. Sharon put in, I dropped my glucose from 800, and 800 glucose is down to, with an A1C of 12 to 114 and an A1C of 6 by doing low carb, and lost 30 pounds since last August. See, that's what you can accomplish when you have the right tools, community support, and just a little bit better information.
I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, that's that. Wow, that is awesome. And that six is going to end up at a 5. Before long. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. And that's the success we're talking about. That's what's possible with keto. That's what's possible with carnivore, low carb. She said low carb. She may be doing 100 grams and 100 grams of carbs. I don't know what you're doing. But I mean, just the fact of changing to more whole foods, and what's working for you. Keep it up. Keep up the great work. I mean, that's absolutely incredible.
It is really, really cool. I really relate to this one too because my mom is also a type 2 diabetic, and she has actually had very similar results where she has massively dropped her glucose, massively dropped her A1C. Her A1C is, I think it's down somewhere in the 6s now. And, she's working to try to get it down to a normal A1C as well. And it's just really cool the level of improvement and just almost again miraculous healing that our bodies are going to do when we just have good information. And so just like my mom, I'm very proud of Sharon here, and there are so many of you guys that are type 2 diabetics that need this information. This is an example. Look at Sharon, look at my mom, look at John Wise was in the chat here. I know he has reversed his type 2 diabetes. Look at the thousands of people in this space that have these types of diabetic issues that have massively reduced what they are, like Sharon and my mom, gone all the way to completely normal A1Cs like John and some other people in the community. Like, you can do incredible, incredible things. So great job, Sharon.
Love it. It's just so wonderful, the community. And this is one thing that Evelyn here shines with, is the positivity that Evelyn just puts out here. I know we call her Evelyn, but that's more just as an inside joke because my phone and my Android Auto said Evelyn when it popped up with a text message from her one day. But Evelyn says, people need to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And I think that speaks volumes. And I think that's kind of at the core of what the three of us do with our channels, what the bulk of us in these chats, in our communities, we care so much and we put so much into this, basically becoming, this basically becomes our soul community to a degree because we want to help so much. and we give so much, like, basically, I watch more YouTube than I watch regular TV. I'm always watching stuff. I cannot keep up with the amount of lives and amazing content that's out there. And that is with watching primarily YouTube content. I have my phone playing stuff all the time. I have it on my TV. I'm always trying to interact, and I try to make sure I respond to every single comment that comes in on my channel. Any comment that I get on Instagram or Twitter, wherever you can find me or wherever you can find these guys, we're in this. We're in this because we are so very passionate. We started this crusade because we are, whatever a word beyond passionate is. And we want to see your successes. We are your cheerleaders. We are here to make sure that you have the support you need. We're here to make sure that your voices are heard, your accomplishments are seen, and it just brings me the most joy and satisfaction seeing all these amazing comments and all the successes and progress and strides towards becoming a better you that you've been able to accomplish. And I mean, words really don't do it justice for me. So I'm going to be quiet and let the other guys talk.
Yeah, I mean, now I wanted to touch on one thing that was mentioned earlier, that Chris read the comment about the keto and keeping things interesting. Um, I've been obsessed with health and nutrition and wellness for like 30 years. I mean, I've talked about my background before. Um, I read the Carnivore Code by Sean Baker when the book, it was probably maybe a year after it came out or whatever. And that was the point where I'm like, this is not for me. A great book, awesome book to read. But I couldn't do it. Well, so the way Dustin was talking about YouTube, so I was on YouTube one day, caught a video by Wes, high falutin low carb, and he was making this dude's carnivore mashed potatoes, and I'm like, hang on now, that doesn't match up with what this book that I read, and so I'm like, man, there's no way, and so anyway, I made that recipe, and I'm like, okay, so carnivore doesn't have to be just this. I'm like, all right. So I had to go out and immediately make a video about it for the 3 people that were watching me back then. I'm like, this stuff is great. And I mean, my mom came over for Thanksgiving. We made those mashed potatoes for her, and I was cooking, keto stuff and making, other things, potatoes and stuff. She tried those. She's like, well, you don't need to make any potatoes special for me anymore because the rest of us were eating other things. And so that right there is just how powerful keeping food interesting can be. I mean, you can still be carnivore and have mashed potatoes, or I mean, that taste like mashed potatoes. And so, I mean, the sky's the limit with what Chris is doing for carnivore now. I mean, it's doable for everybody that wants to do it now, where it wasn't before. Um, I mean, I've tried some of those old carnivore recipes. Trust me, not Chris's, but some of the other ones. I'm like, it's just not going to work for me. But we're all trying to build on things and people that have come before us, and trying to elevate things just a little more to where, you know, my initial goal of trying to make the standard American diet into the new standard American diet is kind of coming true. We're coming up with recipes and ways that you can have great food and be healthy at the same time. And to me, that's what it's all about. That's success. I mean, and it's showing in these comments. I mean, it's incredible the things that people are going through and coming out of because of the way they're eating, and then the things that come along to supplement that, and even to, bring even more optimal health to you. So congrats to all you guys that have shared your successes tonight. I mean, y'all are doing awesome. Congratulations. And, spread the word. People are going to ask you. So be ready. If you start keto, you start carnivore, you start whatever it is, just be aware. People are going to notice that something's different about you. You've lost 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 86 pounds, 12 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever it is. People are going to ask you about it. So congratulations, y'all. Success. That's what it's all about.
I agree, and I think that what's really cool is there's sort of a secondary layer of how this has all happened because when I created the mashed potato recipe, I was thinking about my grandma's mashed potatoes that I used to eat when I was a kid, and it was my birthday every year, and she would make it. And I was thinking about it would just be really nice to have this. I never imagined that that would be one of those kind of pivotal moments in my life that led me down the path where I'm, now doing this whole thing full time. And in the process of doing this and the channel growing the way that it did, and me putting that video out, that's how I learned who Victor was. That's how we met. And I don't remember if it was that video or another one that Dustin first commented on the first time and was like, "This looks great. I'm too lazy to make that, but it looks really good." and I was like, "Who's this clown?" And so I went on his channel and I found him, and I've since been able to become just really good friends and just brothers with these guys. And, we much past whatever any of you guys ever see, we're like texting and supporting each other and talking about YouTube thumbnails and giving previews of recipes. And here's this video I'm getting ready to put out. And like, we're just supporting each other because it's hard to do this. And we all know. And so it's developed into, not just a thing that we collaborate doing this, but like friendship that goes far beyond that, and just being able to support each other. And it's something that I don't think probably any of us really imagined we would end up with when we began eating a keto diet or a carnivore diet or working on these things on YouTube or any of this kind of stuff. It's turned into a lot, and that's why we like to share so much of this and how we feel about all of this with all of you guys, because we want you to experience the amazing thing that happens when you not only fix your body, but you also enrich your life with all these other people doing the same thing. And there's so many amazing things that happen, and we're all very passionate about this. Like, I was approached. I was telling you guys that I would tell you a little bit more about. We're getting ready to write the Chris Cook in Nashville cookbook. I was approached by a publisher that wanted to come up with a deal, and so we made a deal on this, and so the publisher is going to be helping to put this in all sorts of places. So hopefully, if all goes well, the cookbook, when it is done, will end up in places like Barnes and Noble and Target and all of these major retailers where books are sold. And like, you guys want to talk about a way to start getting the carnivore diet in front of the mainstream, the people out there who are like, what the heck is that? Like, I'm going to do everything I can to write that book in a way that makes people go, what in the world is this? And then it keeps them reading and hopefully brings them some things to really change their lives. So that is going to be thousands of hours of writing, of editing, of work, of taking pictures, of doing recipe testing, between sitting at my computer and being in the kitchen, I'm just going to expect to be an exhausted mess for the next, probably 7 to 9 months. And I'm okay with that, because the payoff for that, of the thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people that it can reach, is going to be worth it. And the publisher that I'm going to be working with, you guys will hear more details as it goes along in the future, but the publisher we're going to be working with has international distribution. So we're trying to take this to as many places around the world as we can. It is a big deal for a keto or carnivore cookbook right now to be on a bookstore shelf, because people are buying them and they're seeing a spike in these kinds of things. So now is the time to do this. So we're going to be working on amazing things. You guys get ready for announcements of things like pre-orders and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be great. But I just want to say that, Dustin and Victor are not only amazing as YouTubers and just guys that support the low carb lifestyle in their own right, but they're just fantastic friends, and we have an amazing community. The three of us are really working to cultivate in our various ways, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do on a regular basis without these guys and their support and their friendship and the brotherhood that we have. And I really appreciate them, and we just want to share that with as many of you as we can. It really is a life-changing thing that goes way beyond just the food. So we have a lot of work to do. I have a book to write. Victor was telling me he's going to want to ask some advice after I go through it, because maybe we'll get him to do one too, and who knows, maybe we'll rope Dustin into writing something too. So, but we have a lot of work to do for you guys, and there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff coming. This is just the beginning of all of this, so get your friends, get your family, get all of these people, bring them here for Keto Crusade, get them subscribed to the channels, work with us, jump in, join us in the private community and be a part of the band, whatever it is you want to do. Just be here, be involved, and let's take this stuff and let's go to a completely new level with it, and let's absolutely change the world, because there's no reason that we can't. And if I was going to change the world, there's no two other people that I'd rather be doing it than side by side with these two guys right here. So we love all of you guys. We appreciate all of you so much, and I love these two guys and appreciate them so much, because they support me and keep me going in ways that they probably don't even fully understand. So there's a lot of success to be had. There's a lot of wins in front of us, and we are fighting, we are gaining ground, and we are winning little by little every single day doing this. And it is really an honor and a pleasure to just share the screen with these two guys.
And the cinnamon, I mean, just the idea of how close we've come so quickly, and what we are able to do. Like I said, just starting off, like this is the fifth one of these we've done. So we've been doing this almost 6 months, and it just feels like yesterday that we started. And I wanted to touch on just this one thing that Julian the Pines had to say here, because I think it truly kind of ties this episode together. And it says, "You guys help the community so much by talking about things that most of us go through. Thanks so much." And I think that's one of the most valuable things that we can hear tonight, that ties everything together, all the things that we've seen tonight, with all of the successes, the amazing mind-blowing transformations that people have had with their biomarkers, their weight loss, all of these amazing things, just being able to get out of wheelchairs, all the things that we've seen tonight. I think this right here is the culmination of the evening, just understanding that we are the community, not just Chris and myself and Victor, but all of you as well. And if we didn't get to one of your questions, if we didn't get to one of your comments, join us next month. Reach out to us. Come over to Chris's community. Like he tells us, as Victor and I are over there, you can reach out to us individually. You can go in there and you can make sure that you are dropping your successes. If you don't want to be known, you want to remain anonymous, we're more than willing to go ahead and share your story without letting anybody know who you are. We're here just to make sure that everybody is continuing success and finding the success that they are looking for. And I'm just overwhelmingly humbled by by all of you in the chat, by all of you who show up here on all of our channels, and these two gentlemen being friends of mine. It's I never thought that I would be in a situation like this when I started my YouTube channel 5 years ago. But even after doing it for over 2 years, just without a community, and then being able to find this community and be here with you guys is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my life, and I'm so very thankful for that. So
Yeah, and
truly,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, you two guys are awesome, great friends. Um, really enjoyed, you know, all the things we've done together and all the things that we're going to do in the future together. And we're talking about success a lot tonight. Um, these guys are helping, my success. I need some guys I can talk to like this. It's really hard doing what we do, and having brothers like this to talk to is absolutely awesome. And y'all remember, every success is not independent of failure. You're gonna fail. Edison failed 1,000 times before he finally came up with a light bulb. um, it's not so much about not failing. It's about, when you do fail, get right back up and keep going. um, and Chris, I do need to remind you, because this cookbook's getting closer. I think when we first made our first video together, where we did I think it was the Philly, maybe it was the Philly cheesesteak video though. You told me I could buy the first copy of that cookbook, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
I'm gonna need a signed copy, but from Mel, her paw print on that copy of the cookbook.
Screw the author of that book. I want the dog's paw print as the autograph on that. That's right. That's right. I'm sure I will more than easily be able to set aside a couple of copies for my two favorite fellow YouTubers here on the Keto Crusade. So we'll make sure to make that happen when the time comes.
And with that, I think that's it, gentlemen. I think we have had a successful evening. So many amazing comments, so many amazing transformations. And I just want to thank all of you so much for being here. Thank you, Chris and Victor, for being in my life, and all of you guys for being a part of this community. And with that, I love all of you.
We'll see you guys.
See y'all.